Hello and welcome to another tutorial from CamiPaige Boutique. I'm Brooke Tannehill and today I'm going to show you how I made this Starbucks mug inspired Waterslide wrap and striped decal tumbler. I'm not used to only using a complementary color scheme, so it definitely pushed me outside my comfort zone, but I'm truly happy with how this custom tumbler turned out. As always, all the products I use will be listed in the description below, and you may even find a coupon code or two that saves you some coin. Also, come join our exclusive Facebook group where you can take advantage of upcoming freebies and giveaways that you aren't going to want to miss. So without further hesitation, let's go ahead and get started. For this design, I started with a fully prepped and sanded 30-ounce straight skinny from Parish Tumblers, and I am just applying about 1 to 2 milliliters of epoxy over the entire surface of the cup. You guys, if you've watched any of my tutorials before, you know that the epoxy method is my preferred method for applying glitter to a tumbler. So I am just spreading this on just so thin, just to act as like the bare minimum adhesive for my glitter. But I'm really making sure that I have a nice even coat of epoxy before I come in with Boujie Bling from Boujie Glitter Boutique. This is actually one of my favorite whites just because it's a medium cut white and it really sparkles under water slides, and that's really important when you're doing a water slide because some finer cups of glitter can really not show up and you lose that just sparkle that you want with the all over glitter coverage that we're doing here. Once I was happy with the coverage of the glitter, I let that dry for about 2 hours and then I spray sealed it with Rust-Oleum clear gloss spray paint. Let that dry for about 45 minutes and then I came in with 2 coats of epoxy. The first coat being 30 milliliters and the second being 20 milliliters, just to make sure that I had a nice smooth surface before I applied the water slide. So here you can see that I'm applying the epoxy, and what you want to do is just make sure that you get a nice even coat over the glitter and just make sure that you're not leaving any pokey bits and that you're going to have a nice smooth surface when you go into your water slides. And the reason why this is important is because if you have any sanding marks underneath your water slides, you will see them once you go to finish the cup. So it's really important that you have a nice smooth gloss finish before you apply your water slides. I printed out my design on Hippo water slide paper, and I will link the design and the paper down below, but I sealed this 3 times with Krylon triple thick. I like that the best for my water slides because I truly believe that it is thicker than any of the other clear spray paints. And then I trimmed off the excess of the water slide paper and I cut the paper in half. And the reason why I did this is because I wanted to leave a little bit of a space in the middle of the mug. And I've also found that if you do it in 2 pieces, it is easier to apply to your cup. So I started with my first piece there, and I am just using a baking sheet with water in it to really make sure that it's nice and saturated. And I do not apply any water to my cup because I found if I apply it this way, I get enough water on the base of the cup that I can just move it around and it's not too wet. So I literally just pull the water slide paper, the backing off while I turn my cup. And I found that this is really the easiest way that you get a nice, smooth, bubbleless, I say bubbleless with like quotes because you're always gonna have a bubble or two, method for applying water slides. And then I just come in with my silicone squeegee and just really make sure that that water slide is laid down nice and flat without any bubbles. And I'm making sure that I'm not having any wrinkles in the design. So just switching back and forth between my silicone brush and my finger just to make sure everything is nice and smoothed down. And then I take my X-Acto knife with a new blade. Now that is important. And I just do a straight line real fast down that seam so where I don't have any overlap with the design. Now it's time to apply the bottom water slide, and I'm doing it the exact same method that I did the top. One thing I do want to call out here is that you really want to make sure that you're trying to align those seams as much as possible, just because it makes just for a little better aesthetic with the whole cup. So you can see there that I've lined up the seam and I'm applying the water slide in the exact same fashion that I did the top, just pulling the backing and rotating the cup getting it into place and smoothing it out with my finger, and I'll also use my silicone brush here in a second. So you can see that it's pretty easy to apply. I know that sometimes these do not always go as planned because those water slides can be extra finicky, but then I just take my X-Acto knife and just remove any excess and pat down that seam so that there isn't any pokey bits going forward. Now, let me tell you about my best friend. I recently just started trying Artistry Epoxy, and I'm really, really obsessed with it. I know I had been repping another epoxy for a long time, but I gave Artistry a try, and I've just absolutely been blown away. So this one right here is their 2-to-1 fast set. It dries in about 4 to 6 hours, and it's super, super easy to use. So I like it because it's got a lot of self-leveling power. I had run into issues previously with that, but it's just got a glass-like finish. It's super, just got an amazing shine, and I think it's pretty easy to work with. Like, you don't have to spin it twice left and twice right, heat it up and stand on your head to get great results. So highly recommend this stuff. Check it out in the description below if you're interested, but it's amazing. And there's like no bubbles. I'm just torching this cup out of habit. Also, you'll see here that I added just a slightest bit of glitter to this cup. This is called Blues Clues by FireFly. And I love this glitter because it's a chunky mix, but it's got like a gray blue in it and a little bit of a royal blue. So it was perfect for this design. I just added it to a little bit of the epoxy and just kind of painted it on with my finger. Let that dry. And now I'm just coming in for some light sanding just to get any of the rough spots that may or may not have happened from applying our water slides and the extra glitter. So this cup really didn't need a lot of sanding, which you'd see me use in the past. And then it was time for us to do the vinyl part of this design. I cut out 7 stripes of Oracal yellow vinyl, and I cut them out at 0.125 inches tall by 11 inches wide, evenly spaced them in design space, and then weeded them here. And then what you see me doing here is I taped the beginning and the middle part of these stripes because they were a bit of a bear to get on this cup. Usually I can do vinyl like wraps without any problem, but because there wasn't a lot of surface area to adhere to the cup, there was all sorts of wonkiness. So I'm doing this like I would do a traditional vinyl wrap, even though I know this isn't, but I'm lining up the stripes and I'm taping, like I adhered them down, and then I'm just pulling the backing off, trying to keep the stripes as taut as possible. So meaning like they're straight, there's no like slack in them, and just roll them around the cup. I found that this is kind of the easiest way. I tried this 4 times, so I'm not gonna try and lie and act like this was an easy one-shotter. But I found this was the easiest method for getting the stripes on the cup. So here you run out of the backing and you can see they kind of all go wonky. But all I did is I pulled them up and then lined them up with the end of the, not the end, but the starting place of the vinyl. And this worked pretty well to get them straight around the rest of the cup. If you have any other recommendations for how this could have gone better, I would highly appreciate them, because I tried this 4 different times to get the vinyl to lay down correctly, and this was definitely the easiest way that I found, even though it's not perfect. But like transfer tape just stuck in all the wrong places, and I don't know, it just wasn't cute. But as always, I'm sharing my struggle bus experiences with you guys so you can learn from them. But I feel like this method worked great, and it really kept all the stripes lined up as nicely as possible for this design. Once I was happy with all of the stripes, I came in with my super sharp X-Acto knife, and I'm just literally pushing down on the vinyl and then pulling up any excess on the overlapping stripes that you can see there. So just pushing down, pulling it off, and I'm trying to make it to where I have an even seam for all the stripes. And also I'm trying to line up that seam with the Waterslide stripes, or Waterslide seam that we had before. So trying to get them all seamless, see what I did there, but trying to make sure that it's nice and camouflage as much as possible by just pushing down, making sure there's no overlap. And then there you can see our beautiful pain in the butt stripes. For my final coats of epoxy, I am using Artistry's Fast Set, and I have gotten a bunch of questions about whether you can use it on the final coats of epoxy or whether it will turn yellow. But the thing that's awesome about this is that this is the 2-to-1 ratio, first off, but it also has a ton of UV resistance, so you don't have to worry about these final layers turning yellow from the sun or any kind of UV light exposure. So I highly recommend this stuff. But here you can see I'm mixing up 45 milliliters. I actually had 2 cups that I needed to do, and this is again the 2-to-1 ratio. This is the medium viscosity, but I am just using my boat prop mixer that you've seen me use in the past. And actually I feel like the boat prop does even better with this stuff, and I'm not just saying that, but I did have to mix this on more of the medium setting because it is a little bit thicker than the other epoxies that I've used in the past. But I just gave it a nice spinny spin with the boat prop mixer, and it just turned out so clear. There's really no bubbles with this stuff, and I'm just obsessed with what this little boat prop mixer does to save me time from having to mix epoxy my entire life. Here is the shameless plug money shot of the super clear epoxy. But for my final coats, I did do 20 milliliters of the Artistry 2-to-1 Fast Set. Let them dry for about 4 to 6 hours each time, and this baby was done. I will post pictures of the inspirational mug in the Facebook group so you can take a look and see if I was on with my thought process on how to create this blue and yellow design. And here she is. I absolutely love how this cup turned out. The overall simplicity but striking color combination really sets this cup apart. I hope this tutorial was helpful and inspires you to create something beautiful. If you have any questions about any of the steps or information, please feel free to reach out and I will be more than happy to help in any way possible. As always, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. You can also ring the bell so you are notified of all future cup making goodies. Thank you again. I love you guys. Bye.